Dear friends, this is the third units of the block 2, that is the structural functional approach uh, system theory. Now I'm going to discuss in detail about the structural functions approach. And when we're talking about the structural functionals approach, that is often associated with the work of Emile Durkheim and Parsons. The key theoretical perspectives in sociology here is a detailed look of its components, concepts, and implications. That means here we try to understand what are the different theory according to the different scientists, especially the Emile Durkheim and Parsons, the basic frameworks. And these basic framework of the structural functional approach, that is called the social structures. And when we're talking about the social structures, how you define the social structures? When we're talking about the social structures, that is to be called organized patterns of social relationships and institutions that form the basis of society. These include institutions like family, educations, religions, and economy. That means when we're talking about the social structures, we have the different kind of these institutions, like the family institutions, religion institutions, economic activity institutions, and we have the different kind of the relationship among these social institutions. These social structures have also one of the important components, that is called the functions. Each structure has a specific roles or functions that contribute to the stability and operations of overall social systems. And these overall systems of the functions, that is called the functions of the social structures, now called the social functions. In addition to social structures, in the structural functions approach, we have the social functionals, that is manifest functions. These are intended and observable outcomes of social structures. For instance, the manifest functions of education is to be provide knowledge and skills, and these are the very important parts of the social functions. That is next is called the latent functions. There are under unintended and often hidden outcomes. For examples, a latent functions of the educations might be the developments of social networks or reinforcements of social stratifications. This is very important parts of these things. That in the next concept of the social structure function approach, that is called the core concept. And when we're talking about the core concept, that is functionalisms. And functionalism is the theoretical perspectives within the structural functional approach that emphasize the role of social institutions and process in maintaining social stability, and this is also a kind of the functionalism. Uh, Focus it examining how various components of society work together to sustain the whole systems, and that is equilibriums. Equilibrium, according to the structural functional approach, the state of balance or stability in society where social institutions and structures are functioning harmoniously. Dynamic equilibriums, when we're talking about the dynamic equilibrium, society are dynamics and change over the times. When distributions occurs, examples, technological changes or social movements, society attempt to restore equilibrium through the adjustments in various institutions. This is very important part of the structural functional approach. Social orders and stability. Role of institutions. Institutions are seen as a key to maintain social order by performing specific functions that support the stability and continuity of society. Social norms and value. Shared norms and value help integrate individual into the social system, promoting conformity and cooperations. These are the very important core concept of the structural functional approach. Another thinkers of the structural functional approach of the sociology, that is social solidarity. Durkheim introduced the concept of social solidarity, which refers to the bonds that unite members of society. He identified two types of mechanical solidarity based on the shared value and beliefs in traditional society, and the organic solidarity based on the interdependence of a specialized role in modern society. This is called the social solidarity, and this theory is given by the Emile Durkheim. And next, that is the functions of religions. Durkheim argued that religions serve as a reinforce social cohesion and collective consciousness. It creates a sense of belongings and shared moral value. That means, according to the Durkheim's, argue that religions serve to reinforce social cohesion and collective consciousness. It creates a sense of belongings and share moral values. Next important social thinkers, that is Talcott Parsons. According to the Talcott Parsons, social systems Parsons developed the idea of social systems, which is a framework that include various institutions and their roles. He emphasized that each part of the system has a specific functions that contribute to the overall stability. Another paradigm, that is agile parameters. Persons introduce the agile adaptations, goal attainment, integrations, and latency framework to explain the functional characteristics of any social systems. Each component of the social system must fulfill these functions to maintain the stability, and these stability have the a kind of the broader aspects. When we're talking about the adaptations, that is called the adjusting to the environments. When we adjusting to the environment, that is called the adaptations. Goal attainments, setting and achieving goals. And this is very important parts of the agile paradigms. Integrations, maintaining cohesions and coordinations among the parts. Latency patterns and maintenance, preserving cultural patterns and value. So these are the very important theory, especially given by the Talk Parsons, that is the social systems and agile paradigms. Next, that is called the applications of the structural functional approach. When we're talking about the applications, especially in the social institutions, and when we're talking about the social institutions, that is like the family, educations, religions, especially in the family as a social institutions, viewed as essential for socializations, emotional supports, and reproductions. And there is a kind of the structural value, especially in the family, and family view as essential for socializations in the sense of emotional supports and reproductions. Educations seen as a means of imparting knowledge and socializing children and preparing individuals for various roles in the society. And this is the structural functional approach. And this approach can be leads toward the becomes a very important parts, and through the imparting knowledge, socializations of the persons, and preparing individuals for different roles in the society. Religions functions to reinforce social norms, and these social norms provide moral guidance, and these moral guidance create a sense of community, and this is a very important part functions to reinforce the social norm. So here I am talking about the structural functions approach and their applications. First application in the social institutions. Second applications, that is in the social changes. When we talking about the social change, that is adjustment mechanisms. When social changes or disturbance occur, institutions may adopt or change to restore balance. For example, technological advancements might lead to the changes in the labor markets, promoting shifting in the educational requirements and work practices. So that means key, this is also a part of the applications in the social changes. Now come to the criticisms, and when we're talking about the criticism, and that is part of the a structural functional approach, that is overemphasis on the stability. That means when we're talking about the structural functional approach, Critics argue that a structural functional approach may downplay the role of conflicts, power struggles, and inequality within the society. It may overlook how these elements can disturb social stability. Second, criticisms of the structural functional approach, that is neglect of agency. That means ki when we talking about the approaches is sometimes criticizing for not adapting, addressing individuals' agency and the role of personal choices and actions in shaping social structures and outcomes. And last one, that is conservatisms. The focus on maintaining social orders can be seen as a conservative, potentially justifying the status quo on the state, re-insisting progressive social changes. That means that these are very important criticisms of the structural functional approach. And important criticisms like the we are thinking this approach is highly stable, but in the real sense, this approach is not highly a stable system approach. We also think that we are neglecting the agency, but not always we are neglecting the agency. So these are the important approach. Now come to the what are the contemporary relevance. When we talking about the contemporary relevance, that means that means while the structural functional approach has been foundational in the sociology, contemporary sociological theory often integrate or contrast it with other perspectives such as conflict theory, symbolic interaction, and postmodernisms. These approach address some of the limitations of the structural functional approach by focusing on power dynamics, individual agency, and cultural meanings. This is while talking about the contemporary political relevance of the functional approach. Each has been the foundationals in the sociology, contemporary sociological theory, and often integrates or contrasts it with other perspectives such as conflict theory, symbolic interactions, and the postmodernism. These approach address some of the limitations of the structural functional approach by focusing on power dynamics, individual agency, and cultural meanings. In summary, the structural functional approach provides a systematic way of understanding how social components work together to maintain stability and orders. Through it is often used in conjugations with other theory to provide a more comprehensive view of the social dynamics. That means we have observed that a structural functional approach is very important to understand the social systems. And there is also implications in the social institutions, and also there is some kind of the we call it there is social implications like the social implications in the family, educations, religions, and all the things. In the family, there is providing the some kind of the emotions, providing the some kinds of the reproductive systems, and in the educations through the education a structural functional approach, persons are prepared for the coming society and all the things. Next, that is the religions. Religions also facilitate to the some kind of the creations of the religious harmonious. There is some kind of the feeling of the community and all the things. That means we can say that a structural functional approach is very important approach for the understandings of the different kind of the systems and all the things. Thank you for listening the thank you for listening these lectures. This is the I am going to the wind up this lecture.